Alright guys, welcome to another Apex Legends video, and today we're going to be showing you the patch notes for the Lost Treasures event. We've got a lot going on in these, and we're excited to show you guys so you can see everything that's about to get put in the game tomorrow.
I have not seen any of these patch notes yet, so I am so hyped to see what gets changed.
We're going to start first with the Lost Treasures Collection event. Obviously, that's getting added tomorrow, which we've already put out the video showing all the skins from that, so that's what you're going to be looking for. Plus, that also comes with Mirage's Heirloom. Leave it at that for that one because we've already talked about it. Next is Armed and Dangerous Evolved, the limited time mode, which this one is shotgun snipers only, just like it used to be. But you're going to start with a Mozambique and Evo armor. There is no other armor at all that will spawn in the loot pool, and there are no respawn beacons. So you're going to spawn with a mobile respawn beacon in your inventory. It's going to spawn just like an ultimate accelerant would, and that's what you're going to be using to revive. There is no standard revive beacons on the map at all.
And you guys know we're going to be coming at you with a Mozambique only Armed and Dangerous game, and we are absolutely going to get that win because who needs a Mastiff? Who needs a sniper? The Mozambique can snipe easy.
All right. So we all know about the mobile respawn beacons, so we'll skip the description on that because it's kind of,
It's
obvious
pretty
what it does.
self-explanatory.
Yeah. Then we got Crypto Town Takeover. So it's not exactly Repulsor that gets taken over. It is the small area down the hill from it, over to the side that no one really goes to at all. So we've got that being added, and that's a really nice addition. So we've got his high-tech area that you can use to get a location of all legends on the map, and you can check the screens scattered around the area to tell you exactly how many enemy squads are near that location. So
And
that could provide a very big tactical advantage early on in the game.
a lot of things that people don't know about crypto are that I believe if you look at the legend banners, you can also see how many squads are nearby. Right, Brandon?
Yes, that's true. But this is just a way for anyone to see it, which is nice. All right, and then we've got the heirloom. Obviously, everyone's seen this. It's Mirage's trophy. Some people love it, some people hate it. You're going to see me pull it. So that's about all we got for that one. It's kind of everybody's seen it already, so we don't have much to talk about for that one.
Yo guys, I'm coming at you here in post to let you know that a majority of our viewers are not subscribed, so you should click that subscribe button if you enjoy our content, and you know we're going to be one of the biggest Apex YouTubers out there, and you're going to want to say you were one of the first to our channel. So with that said, enjoy the rest of the video, everybody. But now we get into the real meat of the patch notes.
We've got the legend updates, buffs, nerfs, tweaks, everything about them, and we're starting with Lifeline. So, Lifeline is getting a completely new passive. The old passive is completely gone and getting replaced with Combat Revive. You can deploy Doc to revive your teammates. Doc will now deploy the same shield he used to when you revived, but that leaves you free to do whatever you need to do while Doc does the revive on his own. And that is a huge change. You're talking Lifeline now has the ability to kill people while still reviving, or can revive two people at the same time as long as you're okay with not having cover for that second revive.
She did lose fast heal, I'm seeing though.
Yes, so you do lose that. Not the biggest loss compared to what you can do, because you still have to take into account if Doc does place that shield, you could revive both your teammates behind that shield if they're together. So that gives you still that advantage of two revives and you have a shield over you, which could add a lot. But don't worry, guys. You'll find out soon enough that it's not the most OP thing because there are some counters to it that are being added in this update as well. So then we're moving on to her tactical. It's now down to a 45-second cooldown instead of 60. So if you were kind of upset that Doc takes way too long to come back and you just can't heal as much as you should, and it's kind of not as useful since you're still having to spam syringes all the time, you now got a little bit shorter cooldown. 45 seconds, I think, is perfectly fine for that. It gives you enough time. By the time you've healed from 0 to 100 with Doc, your cooldown should be almost up anyways.
I think that's good because a lot of what the devs are looking for here are what do people who play these legends want? What is like your power fantasy? And the people I know who play Lifeline want to be able to heal more. They want to feel more like a healer role. So this going down in time is nice to have.
Yes, that's true. That's true. So then we've got her ultimate, which now her care packages are going to contain 3 times more small healing items when it decides to spawn small healing, or 2 times more attachments when it spawns attachments. So I don't know if it means that each panel of the thing is going to spawn with more items in it, or if it just means larger stacks of syringes and things. It's not exactly
I
told in the patch notes what they mean specifically, but I
I
would
think
assume that it's going to be something along those lines.
I think what it's saying is that what it means whenever it decides to whenever it decides to spawn small healing items or spawn attachments is whenever you open it and the item's there. So I think it's giving you more of these things. Not a higher percentage of getting these, but more of them.
Yeah, that's what I was meaning.
Okay.
Like, I assume it means like, if a med kit spawns, it might be 2 med kits in one stack. You get a little bit more stuff out of what you open because getting 3 items out of it doesn't really add a whole lot to your tactical advantage of using it because you have to give away your position to use it. Okay, so then we're moving on to Octane. Now, Octane's getting a buff that hopefully will help him out a lot. So we've got upon using his tactical, you're going to be removing all impairing effects. So if you're slowed for some reason, activating that will get rid of the slow entirely. And a addition it already had before was you can't be slowed while you're using it. So now it's basically a auto get rid of all disadvantages. You can't be slowed anymore and you can get out of the fight or get somewhere.
That's kind of
And it
crazy
also
because if you have a teammate who is a Gibraltar or a Bangalore, I believe, you're not going to be getting stunned by their ults anymore. So you can kind of roam
yeah,
around free in there.
yeah. And if you happen to get hit by it, you just activate your stem and at the cost of 10 is it 10 or 5? I think it was 10 HP, then you completely lose that stun that you might have gotten while the enemies are going to still be getting hit and stunned and damage. So that adds a pretty good incentive to actually just run straight into that ulti and just kill all the enemies as quick as you can. And it also increases your sprinting speed by another 10%. So it already was 40%. Now it should be up to 50% for that, which is a nice little bonus. It makes him really the speed character now.
Which is going back to that power fantasy. People want to go fast, defy death daily, his triple Ds.
Yeah. Then we've got his change to his ultimate. Now you can double jump midair after using the Octane launch pad. So once you get in the air, you can jump one more time. Plus, you can now easily change the direction from the double jump. So once you get up in the air, you can jump one more time, and that'll pick what direction you want to move into. So if you get to the top of that jump and you realize you're about to go off the map, you could jump to the side and just go that direction instead. So I think it adds a good bit of use to Octane, makes him a little bit better. I don't know if this is going to be enough because you know how they are. Sometimes they don't add enough or they add way too much. And for Octane, I think they're playing it safe and just adding a little because they've said themselves that they can't do too much without making him completely insanely fast and just impossible to kill because of how fast he's moving. So I think they're going to just take it slow, see how this works out. And if he needs more tweaks later on, they'll add those later.
So now we're moving down into Revenant.
Yes, we've got Revenant, who is getting some nice changes. So it now has, if you use his tactical, the silence, on a Pathfinder mid grapple, he will automatically drop out of grapple. If Wraith is using her phase walk but hasn't went through the portal, then you can hit her with it to cancel it, which we'll find out how much more useful that is soon. And it also prevents Mirage's cloaked revive. If you know Mirage is near you and reviving, if you drop your silence, he will then become visible. It also automatically negates him controlling his decoy. So if you know he's hiding behind a rock controlling a decoy and you hit him with that silence, the decoy is going to stop moving.
It's really useful for canceling his ult too, because if you see one ult, you just silence, and all of a sudden you know which one's the real one because he can't control his decoys anymore.
And then we've also got it will prevent Lifeline's combat revive. So if you can place a well-timed silence and hit her, then Doc can't do the revive anymore. Meaning that that whole passive she just got where Doc can revive and put up a shield, that's not going to happen. She's just going to have to go for the revive herself. And basically, if you can place that silence well, which you've got 2 of those, and they're on a 20-second cooldown, so it's pretty nice. If you can place one of those nicely, you're going to take Lifeline's revive out of the game for a good 25 seconds. So that means she's either going to have to do it herself or she's going to have to stop and fight, which means they're out of a teammate for 25 seconds at least. So that's an insane change for him. It's going to add a lot of usefulness to him. And then we've got his ultimate change where there's no more range on the death totem.
Which
so you're
is
no longer
insane.
confined to a 200-meter radius of your death totem. You can now actually chase the people you're trying to kill, and they can't just run off and hide in a building to keep you from doing anything in your ulti. So it's actually adding something that we've needed for a long time on that. And I think it's going to help a lot of Revenant players actually get some kills in. So if you guys want to pinch on an enemy and go in 3 different directions, you can all go for that. Go in 3 different ways, and you've got, I think it's 60 seconds to do whatever you need to do before that death totem runs out. And in that 60 seconds, if you die, you'll just teleport back to it and you'll be completely safe. Because a lot of the reasons you couldn't use it is because when it's in a small radius, it's easy for an enemy to find. And when you get teleported back to it, they can kill you as soon as you spawn back on it and you can't do much. So I think we're putting him in a really good position, and he's going to be a really balanced character now. And then we've got the changes to Crypto. And hopefully this is enough to get Crypto picked more, because he is still bottom of the pick rate. But his tactical to deploy hack is only going to take 1.5 seconds. You're cutting a whole second off that, which really helps because that takes forever. As someone who plays Crypto a lot, it really is a detriment to have to wait that extra second just to pull hack out. And then his ultimate is going to be, when his EMP goes off, you will disable Wattson's pylons as well, which is her ulti. So that's a huge change, because before it would get rid of her fences, but not her pylon. And what's the point of destroying the shield if you're going to have to get out of the drone and run up to them, and by that time they've already regen probably 1 bar of shield at least, so your EMP really didn't do a whole lot. So I think being able to do that, that's going to do a lot, especially with Wattson's new buff. That makes this EMP 10 times better on what it can do to those pylons. And when we get to Wattson, you'll see exactly why. And then we've got Loba. And finally, her tactical, it's no longer intercepted by Wattson's pylon.
Which
Meaning
it should be.
It means if your friend is using Wattson's pylon, you don't have to worry about not being able to teleport, because you can now throw it without your teammates destroying it.
But now the enemy Lobas can just, it'll still be it won't be intercepted, which is ridiculous in my mind. Someone who plays Wattson, because I don't want a Loba to be able to be teleporting around if I have my interception pylon up.
Well, the reasoning why I think it's okay is because when she throws it, if she's near you throwing it to get away, she has the stand still. She can't sprint. She has the slow walk. So that's enough time for you to unload a mag at her before she teleports. Plus, if she teleports into you, then you're going to see the rings arc in the air and see it land beside you, and you're going to have a heads up before she even gets there. So you're going to have a really easy chance of killing her regardless of which way she's going. So I don't think it really affects enemies as much as it would teammates.
I can't believe they're buffing Loba. This is ridiculous.
But then Loba's ultimate. She's getting a nerf and a buff on it. It's got the nerf of you can only pick up 1 stack of ammo regardless of how much you have in your inventory. Because before, if you had a stack of 10 out of 60, you would pick it up. You would get a full 60 stack plus enough to fill up your partial stack. So if you only had 1 bullet in a stack, you could get a maximum of 119 bullets out of 1 pickup instead of the 60 that you would normally get. So a little bit of a debuff on that one. Not a huge thing. It's probably more of just a fix that they meant to have implemented in the beginning anyways. But then you're also going to get an extra 2.5% of ultimate accelerant percentage. So now it's up to 20% instead of the 17.5. Still not a whole lot. You're still having to use 5 if you want to fully regen it. And to be honest, with the new changes to Wattson, no one else is getting ultimate accelerants but her now. So
Really, I'm
it really
excited to
doesn't matter.
see what that's about.
All right. So that's all for Loba. Obviously, she did not need much.
I can't
She's in
believe
a
she didn't get
really,
nerfed.
really good position right now. I think she's going to be on the level of Wraith, Gibby, Lifeline, Mirage. They're all really high up there with, they've gotten what they need. They're in a really good position, maybe a little too strong, but still you can handle them. But now we're going down to Mirage. He's getting another small buff. So now with his tactical, instead of having to on PC hit H to control your decoys, you can now just press the tactical button. So you're now able to just press your tactical, and when you release that button, it'll let you lose control. It's not a toggle on H like it used to be. I assume H would still be usable, but this way, you don't have to go back and move your hand across the keyboard to hit it, stuff like that. And now when you shoot a decoy, they're going to talk, which is amazing. So now we've got Mirage making fun of people from the decoy, not from himself. So now you're going to hear about bamboozling people from the actual decoy, which is great because that means that it'll be close enough the enemy can hear it being said. So it kind of, adds insult to injury on that one. Then his passive is getting nerfed. When he is cloaked, his hollow emitters, the things on his arms that glow blue when he's got a decoy out, those are going to glow blue whenever he's invisible reviving you. So similar to how Wattson's skin, the cyber skins, have her jacket visible, that's basically what you're getting out of Mirage. You're going to have his arms and part of his back area visible while he's reviving, but that's only to people that are closer than 5 meters to you. So not a huge thing. They're going to find you anyways if they're that close, to be honest. They know where you're at. And then now his skydive is getting a buff. He will now create decoys for the entire squad, not just him. So now you can send like 6 different squads wherever you want at the start, and nobody's going to know which one's you guys. So I think that's going to be really fun to mess around with.
This is the biggest buff by far. Nothing can compare to this.
I mean, just think about it. You're going cage and you drop an extra squad going up top and they think they're about to shoot people, and then you just go bottom and you hear them just upstairs shooting because they think enemies are somewhere. So that's all for Mirage. I think he's already been in a good place. I think these are just some tweaks that needed to be done because in low-level play, Mirage being invisible was a huge detriment to people who had no idea how to catch him. But in high-level Platinum plus in ranked, he was going to get caught regardless. People were paying attention to where people got downed at. They're going to find him. They're going to shoot him. So I think it's really just the thing to help out lower skill players so they're not taking as hard of a hit when he's reviving. So then we've got a nerf to Gibby.
Thank
Gibby's
God.
finally getting a nerf. It's not a crazy nerf, but it is a nerf.
It's pretty big.
It is, but in the sense of all around Gibby, he's still got the gun shield. Let's be serious. He's still got gun shield. So we've got Gibby, who now he will not shut up, Google. He now only gives you 15% faster healing in the dome instead of 25%. So your Phoenix kit isn't quite going to be as speedy as it used to be. But you've still got that fast heal. You've still completely taken away lifelines. So that means Gibby is the only person with a fast heal now. So that does add some more use to it while taking away some. So, I mean, not exactly the biggest nerf because he's now the only fast healer, but I think it'll help out, make it a little bit easier because being able to pop 3 or 4 healing items while you're in that dome really gives him a huge advantage. And I think it was needed because, I mean, if you think about it, if he drops his ulti and then drops his tactical, he can just sit in the dome shield and heal while his ulti's protecting him. And I think that really needed to lose how much utility he was bringing on that one. And then we're moving on to Caustic, who's getting a nerf as well.
This
So
is
it's saying
actually a really
enemies,
big nerf.
yeah, enemies can cancel Caustic's barrel by shooting it before it fully inflates. So if you set it off, but it's not entirely inflated, you can still shoot the bottom. Or if you accidentally miss the bottom when you're shooting it, like some of us, you can have another chance at shooting it.
I
'Cause,
I actually think that kind of what it's saying here is I don't think you have to necessarily shoot at the bottom, just any shooting of it before it's fully inflated. So whenever you see a caustic and you're in the midst of battle and you see him throw one down and you start shooting at it, I think it's going to destroy it now, which is going to prevent him from having his barrels up non-stop in the midst of a fight.
yeah, I can see where that is. So, I mean, pretty useful, honestly. Because having one character that can gas an entire team and you can't see, but he can, kind of made it really hard to fight him. But I think it's going to help out a lot for him. Well, for fighting him, I mean, not for him.
Yeah.
It's probably going to make a lot of Caustic mains cry, but it's okay. He was doing a little too well. But now we're getting on to someone's main here, Wattson,
This is
who's getting
interesting.
some nice changes. They're saying here that they want to create some openings where enemies can breach Wattson's position because your trophy system can last indefinitely and it was kind of too strong before. They're saying now it still can, but you're going to have to use some ultimate accelerants, and we'll get into that now. So Wattson's pylon is only going to last for 90 seconds. That's down from infinite timing, correct?
Yes.
So, I mean, huge change, but 90 seconds is still enough time to get through a fight if you're going quickly. But to change that up, she can now have 3 pylons active at the same time.
Which is how it used to be.
Yes. So they don't last as long, but you have 3 of them. So if they destroy one, you still have 2 that you could have out on the field. So they don't last as long as before, but people are going to have to do a whole lot more work to push up on you. And then another huge change for her, she now can carry 2 ultimate accelerants in a slot of inventory instead of just one, meaning she has double the ultimate accelerant capacity, and they still give her 100% of her ultimate per use.
So here's my thinking on this. I think this is actually, at first looking at it, I was like, wow, this is terrible. Wattson is garbage now. And now I'm looking, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Because I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure the pylon effects for the shield regions are going to stack.
Most likely, yes.
So plus, having an ultimate accelerant take up one full slot at all times, so if I wanted to carry more on me, was always just a hassle, and there's so many around the map. Now I can stack up 2 per inventory slots, so basically I'm always going to have 4 on me. And I'm always going to be able to have 3 pylons up for whenever we bunker in somewhere. And we're not the kind of players who stay somewhere for more than a minute and a half, basically. Because enemies are going to push up on you, you're going to push up on enemies. But even in the midst of battle, you can pop a ultimate accelerant and have 2 pylons just right in the middle of an area, which is pretty good. I think this is a really nice buff for Wattson.
Yeah, I think it's the kind of tweak you're looking for when you tweak a character. Yeah, it's technically got some buffs and technically got some debuffs, but really
Nerfs.
you're looking at a side grade for her, basically. You're taking old Wattson and you're saying, well, how about we do it this way instead? Not necessarily worse or better, but really, really nice to have. If you're someone who likes bunkering down for a long amount of time, then it could be considered a nerf for you.
Well, we don't like those players anyways.
But if you're like us and you need to move, run, and gun, you're just popping pylons down to regen your shield while you're in a fight, and then you're moving to the next area. This is amazing. This is on another level of a buff for us. So I think Wattson is going to be in a really good position again. She went from being mandatory in high level play to kind of mid level, not super needed, but still useful, to now she's top 25% of characters for ranked play now, basically.
I very frequently complained about, even though I love Wattson, about how her kit didn't feel like it matched my playstyle. But now I can just put down these pylons in the middle of a fight, and enemies are going to have to decide, am I going to keep shooting him where he can just back out and regain a lot of shields really fast, or am I gonna waste my time shooting the pylons, in which case they can just shoot me? So I
Yeah,
think it's really nice having to force your enemies to make that choice.
because most guns it takes about a full mag to destroy a pylon. Are you really wanting to waste a full mag just to destroy one of the 3 pylons they could have? Because that's a lot of ammo and a lot of time spent where they know you're shooting and they could fire back.
This is also a
So,
huge indirect buff to Crypto, because Crypto can just destroy all of these now.
yeah, that's what I was talking about before with Crypto. He now can just do this and his EMP is going to take out everything. So if you have super hard bunkering down Wattsons, Crypto is now the bane of Wattson's existence for that. So, I mean, huge change, really crazy, and I think it's going to make Wattson a lot better, but also that specific buff for Wattson makes Crypto a lot better because Wattson has played a lot, Crypto not as much. I think Crypto is going to move up a lot in the pick rates because of this. And then now we're moving on to Wraith. Now for Wraith, they kind of assume that our phase walk is a get out of jail free card. Not
Because
gonna
it
lie,
is.
it is. So their nerf on the phase walk is instead of 0.4 seconds of activation time, it is now up to 1.25. It was already increased from 0.25 to 0.4. Now we're tripling the activation time. And during that time, you lose 20% of your move speed. So for a second and a fourth of a second, you're slower and you're still being able to be shot before it activates. Plus, that gives Revenant a buff of if he hits you with his silence during that 1 second that you're stuck, he can end your phase walk. And all you did was walk around slowed for a minute. So huge change to that one. So not the best problems here. They're kind of taking a lot from phase walk, but we've got a buff to it as well.
Twitch.tv Wraith is dead.
While you're in phase walk, you're getting a 30% move speed. And as a lot of people have seen, when you're in phase walk, you don't move the fastest. But now you get a 30% move speed buff. So you're almost on Octane level of move speed while you're phasing. So if you do get that phase off, you're going to move a lot quicker. Plus, since you can activate phase walk while you're using your portal, you could activate it to get that move speed just to get your portal placed as quick as possible. So that was a nice little change. Plus, while you're in phase walk, you can now see other players while you're in the void. This isn't just other wraiths like before. This is all players. So you'll know if people are chasing you while you're in the void if you turn around, which is a really nice change for something that isn't supposed to be a get out of jail free card anymore. So you're not really supposed to use it to run away as much. You're more of using it to reposition. So you want to know where the best place to reposition is. Then her phase walk now lasts 4 seconds up from 3. So you get a little bit more time to reposition, which is really nice. Plus with the move speed buff, when you're getting 30% more move speed on a 25% longer timer, you're going to get a good bit more distance in phase walk. So for the people using it to reposition and get around to the other side of enemies and things, it helps out a ton. And I think it's going to be really, really useful. Now we've got the cooldown. They've lowered it by 10 seconds. You guys all know they raised it before when they were nerfing her and put it up to 35 seconds. You know, Pathfinder level. Now we're down again to 25, which is great. You know, if Pathfinder can't get his timer lowered again, at least Wraith can, you know? So that was nice. But then we've got her last nerf for this update. On her phase tunnel, her ulti, they've decreased the distance you can place it by 25%. So your start to finish has been lowered by 25%. So with how far she could go before, it's a nerf. But I mean, if you were playing her correctly, you were using that to reposition as well. You were using it to engage in a fight. You wanted to drop your portal early so that when you got in the fight, you had a portal ready so you could pop in, get in the fight, and if something happens and you need to retreat, you go back through the portal. And now it kind of just more of equalizes it as you're not going as insanely far, which is okay. I don't think it's going to change a whole lot for her on that one. It's still more about placement tactically, where you're putting it instead of how far away you can get. So that's all for the character buffs and debuffs. Holland, any more comments on those before we get into the weapons?
Twitch.tv Wraith is dead. Twitch.tv Wraith is dead.
All right. So now we're going to talk about weapons and loot. So zip lines. There is going to be a cooldown to re-grabbing the zip line without touching the ground. This is mainly for if any of you guys have been looking at Reddit, the infinite zip lines where they place two Pathfinder zip lines side by side and you just hop and change between them back and forth nonstop. It's a thing with that. Kind of, makes it a little easier to where people can't just switch zip lines like that and make it impossible to be shot while you're doing it. And the cooldown is going to increase every time you switch zip lines. So if you jump from one to the other, you now have a longer cooldown before you can jump back to the first one. So it's really trying to prevent what's going on with these. Plus, the cooldown is going to reset when you touch the ground. So for people who are using them the correct way for movement, they're going to be okay. It's just the people abusing the double zipline system. So obviously something that needed to happen because it was kind of getting insane with how quick you could switch between them. So, obviously a needed thing. But now we're getting into the Havoc. The Havoc is getting nerfed, guys. We're going to be getting a greatly increased recoil, horizontal recoil, as they say, and a decreased mag size from 32 to 28. So you're losing 4 bullets, and you're getting a ton more horizontal recoil.
It's pretty big.
Before, the reason the Havoc was overpowered was it had no horizontal recoil. It was all vertical, meaning if you just push down on the mouse, you were done. You were a laser.
Or held down on the controller.
Yeah. Holland's shown that multiple times. He can laser people at a good 50, 60 meters out. He can still laser people. As long as you can hold your mouse down correctly, you got this. But now that's out of the question because it's going to have horizontal recoil, meaning it's going to go left, right, and up all at the same time. It's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be on Prowler level where the first 2 bullets are back and forth and then straight up, but it's in a good position now. I think it's not going to be as overpowered as before. It's in a good spot.
The magazine size is also fairly substantial because energy guns, you cannot get more ammo in. You can't pick up different types of mags for them. So you're stuck at 28, which is pretty low for this game.
That is true.
But I do think I see what might be replacing the Havoc rifle in my inventory.
Next buff, we have the Sentinel. We are going to have a shorter rechamber time from 1.75 seconds to 1.6 seconds. Or, no, milliseconds. That's the bolt action lever. That's what that's talking about. So you're going to have a little bit quicker time getting your next shot ready because before, wow, was it slow sometimes.
No joke.
And then your energized duration is going to go up from 90 to 120. That's your charge.
You get 2 full minutes of disruptor rounds now, which is amazing.
Is ridiculous. That is insane. That is on another level. You guys saw where we were using it before, using alternator and then disruptor round Sentinel. This is just going to take that to another level.
And we will put a little link to that in the top. So if you look in the top right corner of your screen, you should click on that and watch that video.
So now that's all for the weapons. Not a whole lot this time. Most of the weapons are in a good position. So, just a few changes to the lowest common denominator and the overpowered, Then we've got some quality of life changes. You can now ping your teammates' caustic traps which is crazy because it was insanely hard to tell what was your friendly ones and what was your enemy ones because
The
only Caustic can tell.
Well, there's actually a visual cue, and there has been for a while. Most players don't know this. Friendly caustic traps only have one red circle around them, while enemy caustic traps have two red circles around them. But it takes a moment to be able to see that, and a lot of players didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, this will give a lot easier indication, basically. Then we've got when you're in Revenant shadow form, you're going to have a new health bar. I assume it's going to be something along the lines of the shadow health bar because we've had around the edges of your character, there's the shadow texture. I think that's going to be what they're putting over the thing so you know more easily that you're in shadow form. And then now finally, map rotation times are going to be the same for Kings Canyon and World's Edge. No more playing a Kings Canyon match, and as soon as you get out, you see World's Edge is up. You click to play it, play one match, and then by the time you get out, Kings Canyon's back on because the World's Edge rotation was only 15 minutes this time.
We have
No more of that.
We have definitely had games where we had a really long game at the end of Kings Canyon, and then World's Edge had like 3 minutes left, and we're like, "Whoa, what happened here?"
Yeah, you'll get in a game. You'll have 10 minutes left on Kings Canyon. You play through, and then as soon as you're done, you're like, "Oh look, World's Edge ends in 14 seconds. How did that happen?" You know? So we're finally getting a standardized timing for it. So now people are going to be happy with, regardless of what end they like to play on, they now have the same timer on each of them. So it kind of evens it out a little bit. Then you wanting to go over the bug fixes in this?
Yeah, I'll have the bug fixes. So these
right.
will be going through pretty quickly, but fixed an issue with some railing not being climbable. I've definitely ran into instances in my games where I've just not been able to climb something. Fixed an issue with being unable to mute squad before the legend select. So there'd be times whenever someone would have stuff blaring through their mic. We've all been there, and you just weren't able to mute them. Removed more exploitable spots against Prowlers in Bloodhound TT, so that's good to have. Fixed an issue
That's
with
basically how we cheesed it before, where you go outside the arena slightly and they can't leave the arena. So if you open one of the doors and go outside, they were not able to touch you and you could just shoot them and not take damage. I think that's what they're trying to mean when they say getting rid of that.
Yes. So, fixed issues with loot spawning in unreachable places in both Kings Canyon and World's Edge. So, there'd be places where loot would spawn, but you just weren't able to get up to them. Fixed an issue with players being able to move at walk speed when down. Sometimes you would see down people just moving super fast, and you're like, hey, that's not supposed to happen. Fixed an issue with Prowlers not being able to kill Mirage decoys in one swipe. So now, what would happen was you were in the trials, and Prowlers would keep hitting your Mirage decoys, and it was. I'm not saying Prowlers necessarily need a buff, but it was kind of weird that was interaction because it was inconsistent.
True.
So fixed issues with Ninja controller layout and death boxes, which is not
That
important.
was where if people were using the ninja loadout, you could not pick up like certain items out of the boxes.
Oh, okay, that's good to know. And
Yeah.
fix an issue with the "you got a treasure pack" message appearing after every match. Thank God.
Thank God so much. Jesus, my ears are thanking everyone at the dev team right now.
Alright, so moving on to Crypto. Fix an issue with Crypto's drone flying without input if the user started to sprint by use of double tap to sprint option. So, always kind of a quality of life thing there. That's nice. Fix an issue with Lifeline being able to drop her care package on a quest artifact location, preventing users from picking up the artifact. That was if your teammate wanted to troll you or something, or just a weird glitch, but it's all gone now. Fix issue with Lifeline's drone getting stuck in the air after collision with an Octane jump pad, which I assumed didn't happen all that much, but it is good to know that was fixed. Going down to Loba, fixed issue with Lobo being able to get out of bounds using Burglar's Best Friend. Anytime a dev puts a teleport into a game, there's going to be things like this. So we can see most of these have to do with that. Or
There's
not
been
most, but a
endless
few of them.
problems with that. Anytime there was a 1-inch crack in an area and a gate behind it that you couldn't get through, Loba was going to make it there. Somebody had to show it off. It was plaguing the Reddit. So many people were posting videos of teleporting into unaccessible locations, winning games without doing anything, stuff like that. It was very annoying.
So they fixed an issue with Loba's burglar's best friend being blocked by invisible collision at the entrance of firing range. Fixed an issue with Loba's black market boutique, not showing the correct range. Loba's ultimate now shows correct ammo count for care package weapons. Fixed an issue with Loba's tactical not functioning on certain surfaces. You should now be able to recreate the trailer moment, which is cool for all those Loba mains. And
Finally, that was a huge problem. If you wanted to recreate the trailer and jump off the cliff and teleport into that room, it did not work in that room. If it hit the ground, Loba would do her gesture where it didn't work, and she would just plummet and die instantly.
So Loba's ult now gets refunded if it gets caught between two doors, which is nice. I've seen a few ults kind of get canceled out like that, and then she just loses it. So, moving on to Mirage, and we're going to be going kind of really fast through these now. Fix an issue with Mirage's decoy not being able to ping correctly under certain conditions. Fix an issue with Mirage's decoy not being able to crouch walk through certain areas. Fix an issue with Mirage decoys playing the fall animation when the player is falling. Fix an issue where Mirage can still control his decoys after being silenced by Revenant. For Octane, we fixed an issue with Octane's bounce pads deleting other Legends' abilities. Fix an issue with Octane's jump pads disappearing when other Legends' tactical interacts with it, and fixed an issue with his jump pads falling through the floor on hover tanks. For Pathfinder, they fixed an issue with Pathfinder's grapple not allowing running if a failed deployed occurred, and fixed an audio issue with survey beacons being too loud when used. For Revenant, they fixed an issue where his death totem was not being rendered over 200 meters, and fixed an issue with his audio for his tactical cutting out halfway through its playback. And for Wraith, they fixed an issue with not being able to heal after getting knocked and going through a Wraith portal.
Which was horrible. If you got knocked as the animation for going through the portal happened, you would come out on the other side and nothing could be done to you. And it also happened, things would happen where if you were using your tactical on Wraith and before you went through the phase walk, you died as soon as it activated. When you got revived, your tactical would be broken for the rest of the game. So Wraith's had a lot of issues that they've had to fix with stuff like that. Apparently, the Void is not kind to people who do not commit. But yeah, guys, so that's all the updates and update notes for this patch. We'll see you tomorrow with our pull video on the event packs and getting Mirage's heirloom. We'll be showing it off and everything. You guys need to be here for that one. And any last words before we head out, Holland?
Like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell. You guys know we're gonna be one of the biggest Apex channels, so hop on the train now so you can say you were here at the beginning.
And with that, thank you guys for coming, and we'll see you in tomorrow's video.
So much editing. So much editing.